Howdy folks and welcome. I hope you're doing well. Are you here to join the mighty monolith? Today I am so excited to talk to you about the Stalker franchise and its deep and rich lore. Big spoiler warning ahead. If you have not played any of the games, I'd highly recommend you doing so, because we're going to be talking about a lot of the story elements. Before we get into that, I just wanted to give a big thank you to everyone who participated in the poll. I really appreciate your feedback and I am so excited to see what comes next. Secondly, just like my StarCraft lore videos, I cannot cover everything in one video for both our sakes. That's where this wonderful burgeoning community comes into play. If I don't focus on something you find important, let me know down below. Or if there's lore that you want to expand on, I am always there for a conversation. Seriously, it's amazing what you guys know. I think I've loved Stalker ever since I saw Shadows of Chernobyl's cover. There was just something so eerie about that flaky skin and the irradiated tones. The Stalker series has done something spectacular by morphing a real historical incident, the 1986 nuclear disaster at Chernobyl, with this dark and brooding fantasy world that is really beautiful too. In this video, we'll be exploring the history of the zone and its lore, while walking around some places of interest, because they're interesting. God, who writes this? The reason why I want to start out my Stalker lore video series with the zone is that the zone is the main character of the game series. Now, you might be asking, how can a map be a character? And that's the beautiful thing about Stalker. So let's get into it. Stalker's history starts before the 1986 nuclear disaster. Remote areas of Chernobyl and Pripyat were used for secret experiments. And please let me know if I'm mispronouncing anything. So the research was on psychotropic weapon systems. Yeah, the Soviets are evil. Scientists also wanted to study the noosphere, but we'll get into that can of worms a lot later on in the video. One of the first research programs started in Limansk. It's a city we'll be visiting later on in the video to the betterment of my judgment, cause I hate that city. So Boris and friends thought it would be a good idea to experiment with radio waves. They were trying to harness or control people to be subservient to the glory of the Soviet Union, so brainwashing. Wait, I've seen this one before.
Yuri, he is controlling my mind. He has killed me.
Unfortunately, their hubris was their downfall. The research project took so much power that they had to take from, guess what? The Chernobyl nuclear plant. And if you know anything about the Soviets, safety wasn't their first priority. April 26, 1986. A huge surge in energy causes one of the reactors to explode. And holy moly, this is the alternative history that I live for in video games. Chernobyl happens, everyone gets evacuated except for this guy, Forrester. Dude, you need to see a doctor. How long have you been in the zone? A few other people don't leave, and the scientists that caused all of this stay as well. Why do you think they would leave? They're evil scientists. And now the zone was even better for wild scientific experimentation. No one's really going to disturb them. Also, the fall of the Soviet Union did not stop anything. I wonder who was funding them though. So without any oversight, the scientists try to contact the noosphere. And if you're asking, what is the noosphere? We will get into it. Leaving it for a little later because we're like here on the crazy level. You need to get to like level 5 before we talk about this. So after 91, Ukraine takes over the land, but their fledgling government doesn't really have the power to control anything in the zone or the borders. It's not until 2001, when a bus full of tourists goes missing in the Chernobyl exclusion zone, that the Ukrainian government goes, all right, boys, let's see what's going on. So the Ukrainian government sets up a border around the zone and stops people from getting in. Except people do get in, and they're called stalkers, which is an acronym, a long one, that I won't say right now. The stalkers that do get into the zone come back with tales of some weird things, like zombies.
Yikes! It's a regular zombie jamboree!
But the real big oopsie is on March the 4th and April the 12th of 2006. Another dubious scientific experiment goes awry and opens a rift in time and space. The rift affects everything around it. Flora, fauna, but the rift also starts to destroy physics, or the reality of physics itself, and oh boy, I'm no scientist, but I know that's bad. Despite the rift happening and all hell breaking loose, the scientists that did this survive. Yet there is a schism in their philosophy. Some scientists leave and form C.L.E.R, dedicated to researching the zone and closing the rift. And we'll talk about them extensively in the next video on stalker factions. The other half of scientists go deeper into the underground labs and haven't been seen for some time. Now, I think this gives us a great opportunity to explore the zone. Like a little field trip, just don't leave your seats or you'll get zombified. Let's start off with Cordon. Cordon is deemed the antechamber of the zone, guarded by military on the southern border and having Sidorovich and Rookie Village to the north of that. It's a pretty safe place, usually. No matter how far you are from CNPP, weird stuff will always get to you, whether that's mutants, zombies, bandits, you name it. Cordon also has access to a bunch of areas like swamps, garbage, and even a tunnel to the Dark Valley, which makes it a true starting zone. One of the areas I mentioned is the next place that we'll go, the swamps, and I hate this place. The swamps is mostly that. Irradiated water and tall reeds, so you can't see jack you know what. If I had a nickel every single time I was assailed by a group of dogs in swamps, I would be a billionaire. But if you do get to certain structures, it is so sick to use a sniper rifle and surveil the land. I mean, it feels like you could see from miles around. To the northeast of swamps is a aptly named area called Garbage. This area has a lot of unique anomalies, so you might see a lot of ecologists just roaming around. Save them, it's your duty. Garbage also hosts a large settlement called the Train Depot, or Depot. I absolutely love this place. I feel very safe with guards watching over me while I sleep, even though there are a ton of mutants around and they do like to knock on the door. West of Train Depot is Agroprom, and this is when the tutorial ends. If you can surpass the horrors of the Agroprom underground, then you're ready for what's up north. Agroprom has 3 key areas in its map. The Research Institute connected to the factory, which observes the swamp, all connected underground. And let me tell you, that underground is like a ants colony, except I wish there was just ants in it. I assume the Agroprom underground is a place where a lot of people just like stepped into this one area and went, nope, I'm out. I wonder if we could just flood the whole entire thing. Anyway, our next stop on this irradiated tour is Rostock, the duty headquarters, for now. Good God, I am not ready for the changes in Stalker 2. Rostock is a fantastic area. It is super safe, it has a bar, and you can join the Ukrainian fight club. Rostock technically is divided between west and east, but the western territory is deemed wild territory, and there's a reason for that. The wild territory is host to a ton of electrical anomalies, a ton of mutants, and mercs. And yes, this game does have mercs, and they're badass. Certified badass. I love the verticality in the wild territory. It's actually a lot of fun to use the rooftops to your advantage, since none of the mutants can fly yet. Next we have Dark Valley, a very sad and foreboding place. Known for its agricultural institute, there's another thing buried deep below the Dark Valley that a lot of people want to keep secret. That would be Lab X18.
In my lab I got hit. In my lab I got robbed. In my lab I got phone. In my lab, conspiracists try to find us. You get to the lab, but information won't leak because I keeps it in the lab.
Honestly, I'm going to do a video on the labs themselves, so I won't get into too much detail. But Lab X18 was very important to the psychic research that the Soviet scientists were doing previously. But after the 2006 incidents, it was abandoned and the mutants they were researching let out. Dark Valley has always creeped me out, and starting as a bandit, I would just question why they kicked Freedom out of here. I mean, I do not want to deal with this stuff. Our next area is another one that hosts an X-Lab, Yantar. Apparently Yantar was some big lake until they drained it, which was cool lore. So just like Dark Valley, Yantar also hosts a factory that underneath it is a secret laboratory and holds an underground secret. Now, if you're still here, I think we can get weird and a little bit deeper with the lore. So I hope you're okay with that. The X-Lab in Yantar is 16. It's one of the scarier moments in the game. Say hi to the Miracle Machine, or the Psi Emitter. This is a artificially grown brain that can emit psi waves. X16's research was about psychic powers within organic material. Turns out the brain that they artificially grew was very good at it and melted people's fucking minds, turning them into zombies. Now we're talking, right? And we're only at level 3. To even access Lab X16, you need a psi helmet. You need a level 3 psi helmet to enter the Lab X16. After disabling the Miracle Machine, now we have access to more northern parts. Yippee! Now, I know it's cut content, but Dead City and Truck Cemetery are two shoutouts. Dead City was an old Soviet town that was in between Yantar and Lemensk. Something about the decrepit Soviet architecture just gets to me. And Truck Cemetery is just cool because it's where they put all the vehicles that interacted with the radioactive matter from the '86 disaster. The next area we'll be visiting is the army warehouses, which used to hold a whole entire rural village until the '86 disaster. The military did use it as a base of forward operations until the 2006 incidents, when something was created, the barrier.
Hey, it's happening! Everybody stay calm! What's the procedure, everyone? What's the procedure? Stay calm!
I love this quote from Cap, and I'm going to read it off the page because I want to do it justice. We call it the barrier. That's what it basically is. It's about the last normal outpost this side of the zone center. It's sort of a buffer, you know, between the people and the wild territory. See, he's not talking about the Rostock Wild Territory, he's talking about the batshit crazy insane stuff that happens north of army warehouses. And there's a lot of that. The barrier is a strong psi field that will deter almost every single stalker that crosses over it. But there are ways past it, especially after emissions, which move anomalies around. One of those areas that you can enter is the Red Forest. I don't know why you would want to, but you can. Everything in this goddamn forest wants to kill you. From the frickin' anomalies to the mutants to the monolith and sin soldiers rushing around with LMGs. The Red Forest used to be a reserve, and Forrester, remember that guy that needs to see a doctor, was one of its residents. When looking up Forrester, I like this quote that he's just like, yeah, I've lived here all my life, but I still don't know what the hell happens in the Red Forest. It's kind of beautiful going to the Red Forest during the day. I mean, the trees have this dark red and orange hue from the radioactivity. I'm not saying it's good, it just looks visually appealing in a video game. The Red Forest also hosts another machine that can melt people's brains. Yeah, you don't think the Soviets did it like 15 times? Come on.
Yuri, he is controlling my mind. He has killed me.
These look like gigantic antennas, but what they actually do is much more sinister. They were first designed to stop aggression in humans. I don't think that worked. But who would even think of such a thing? Who would even make such a thing or try to attempt it? And now we're here. So remember those scientists that I mentioned before, Clear Sky? Well, let's think about the other contingent of scientists, the ones that stayed behind. Those scientists kind of formed a band, you could say. Well, formed something. The majority of research before the 86 disaster was about the noosphere, the thing that I've mentioned like 3 times before. The noosphere is an invisible energy shield that is around the Earth that connects every single human through like an intellectual telepathy. Please let me know if I'm not explaining this fully correctly, but this is how I understood it. The scientists wanted to study the signals and sort of manipulate the noosphere to end cruelty or to end sadness or what have you. I don't technically believe them. I think they were just looking to control the world, but what do you think? They realized that not just one human could tap into the noosphere. They needed more. So those scientists merged their consciousness to create C-Conscious. Once merged, they tried to interact with the noosphere. And can we guess the date of that? Ooh, people paying attention, you got it right. March 4th, 2006. The attempt failed due to some auxiliary power discrepancy. I don't know, I couldn't find a reliable source for this. But that did not dissuade C-Consciousness from trying again. Honestly, after merging with other people, I don't think there's a way to go back. C-Consciousness tries to interact with the noosphere on April 12th and succeeds. But things go horribly wrong. Like, on par with Black Mesa. So the April 12th incident is the one that creates the rift in the noosphere and starts this whole entire debacle in the zone. The rift not only interacts with the biosphere, but it destroys the laws of physics. C-Consciousness knew it had messed up because the rift was expanding. There was a way to try to contain the zone. They needed a lot of protection. That's why they built the Brain Scorcher, to deter anyone getting even close to the power plant where C-Consciousness is. But they couldn't just rely on the zone or mutants to take care of random stalkers trying to get closer into the zone. So the Brain Scorcher does something else. It brainwashes them.
But we provide them with their own conclusion. We shall
this is where the mighty Monolith come in. Real quickly, Monolith are the bodyguards of Sea Consciousness. They have been indoctrinated into a religious fanatical cult, and they will eat your heart out for breakfast.
Твоя цель здесь. Иди ко мне.
Seriously, I just cannot wait to talk about the factions. Anyways, the Brain Scorcher equals no-go up north, until it gets disabled. Now, there is a way around the Red Forest and the Brain Scorcher, but it is still a deadly route, and that is through the town of Lemansk. Lemansk is one of the villages around Chernobyl that was not evacuated during the '86 disaster. The thing about Lemansk is it was a cover for another secret Soviet weapons project. It hosted the research institute known as Radio Wave. Lemansk is interesting because it's been cut off from most of the zone for a long time. It wasn't until the beginning of Clear Skies events that the city was opened due to anomalies shifting. Oh boy, did it get popular since people could just go around the Brain Scorcher and not become senseless zombies. Our next stop is Jupiter, and I was not allowed in Yanov train station because I was playing Monolith, but if you have a chance, that's probably my coziest place in Stalker. What's your cozy place? Jupiter is huge and filled with so many things that it deserves its own video. That's why I love Stalker, because I can say that about legitimately everything in this game. But I had to pick and choose because I'm at 3,000 words right now. The area has a huge factory you can explore and the Stingray crash sites from the third game. There are so many anomaly fields that you can check out for artifacts, and even the ecologists have a mobile lab there, so you can sell them. Another area just north of Jupiter is Zaton. With the Brain Scorcher disabled, lots of stalkers flock to the northern areas, and Zaton is one of the best places to go looting. I love all the points of interest that it has, my favorite being the boat. It's a grounded tanker that rusted out after the '86 disaster, but now it's a fun bar. Sorry, Monolith again. Another area that I think is iconic is the Prabronski Bridge. I don't know, there's something about it that is really enthralling to me.
I'm in danger!
Alright, we're getting into the end game here. Our next stop is Pripyat.
50,000 people used to live here. Now it's a ghost town.
Pripyat has a long history, and if you haven't watched the HBO series on Chernobyl, I would highly recommend doing so. It's really cool, if not horrifying. Anyways, Pripyat is filled with Monolith, and their local leader, Sharon, is pretty badass. We jam together. I honestly love Pripyat and the Palace of Culture. Again, there's something so interesting about the failed ideas of the Soviet Union being just on display. I don't know, it just gets to me. Anyways, Pripyat is like the last big line of defense until you get to the power plant.
It was at this moment that he knew. He fucked up.
And finally, we've come to our sort of last stop, the Chernobyl power plant. Oh my god, is that the bus of tourists from 2001? Let's start walking. So what makes the Chernobyl power plant so important? I forgot to mention something about Sea Consciousness, right? They need people. They need people, they need Monolith soldiers, and they need to spread the good word of the Monolith. Word won't spread organically, so they tend to send agents throughout the zone, spreading a little white lie. Wait, where's my badge? Just so we're transparent here. This little white lie has to do with something called the Wish Granter, pretty much, if you make it to the center of the zone, you get any wish you wanted. Immortality, wealth, you name it. The wish granter is also known as the monolith, hence this is the thing they are praying to or talking to. They think that is talking to them. Not only that, but the rumor has it that it only accepts people that are worthy. Hence, every person that is full of themselves will go out searching for it, get caught by the brain scorcher, psi emitter, or get picked up by monolith soldiers and get plugged into the supercomputer to become a cult member.
Jesus.
This is the dark side of the zone.
Guess what? The wish granter is not real. It is real, it's just not what it's meant to be. The wish granter is the final trap of sea consciousness to protect themselves from the outside world and their manipulation of the noosphere. The wish granter itself, once the player enters the CNPP, will try to take the player away from Sea Conscious Lab and towards the wish granter itself in the upper chambers of the nuclear facility.
Пришло время. Я вижу твое желание. Твой путь завершается. Иди ко мне.
If the Stalker's hubris gets the better of them, they will make a wish, which in reality just melts their brain, and they turn into a monolith pawn. And that's the zone. Oh my goodness gracious. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to watch this video. I cannot express my gratitude over text or like this. Just, I hope you know that it means the world producing this stuff, having the dialogue and the conversations with you all, and interacting with this community. There's so much more that is going to happen. There's so much more that is going to be there. And it wouldn't be any bit as awesome as it is without the people that make it awesome. So thank you so much. It means the world. Let me know if I missed anything that you find important, and I can't wait to hear what pieces of lore you want to share as well. If you enjoyed the video, check out my channel. There's something there for everyone. I make sure of it. And as always, see you next time.
On the low. If I tell you, make sure nobody knows. Because in my lab I got hits. In my lab I got rhymes. In my lab I got phone. In my lab.